Alright, my math friends, we are moving on into chapter 3. Now we are going to be looking at 3.2, and we are going to do a review lesson for how to add and subtract fractions. Okay, chapter 3 has it's all focused on fractions and decimals, and we're going to be working with negative fractions and decimals and positive fractions and decimals, and we're going to do the same steps that we did in chapters 1 and 2 of adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing them, but they're going to be positive and negative. But before we get into that, where it gets a bit complicated, we need to do a review of how to add and subtract fractions. Looking at that pre-test you guys took for me at the beginning of the year, I know this is something that we have to review, so I'm going to kind of go over how to do these steps, how to add and subtract fractions as a refresher for you. Okay? The purpose of this lesson is not to show you how to add and subtract fractions for the first time. Okay, this is something that you have done in the past, should have done in the past. This is just to remind you of those steps. So if you get lost along the way, you may need to pause the video, rewind it, or if you're totally get stuck, you may need to come and see me for some extra help. Okay, this is just a review lesson. This is not how to add and subtract fractions for the first time. Okay, I just want to let you know that before we get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is a review is how to add and subtract fractions that have the same denominators. Okay, we're just going to really focus on the adding part. Subtracting is the same steps as adding, but I just have some addition problems here for you to work on. Okay, so if you have the same denominator, a fraction is set up. Just a little review. Here's our fraction bar. The numerator is on top, and the denominator is on the bottom. Okay, that's how a fraction's set up. We have numerator on top, denominator on the bottom. So the same denominators, if we have fractions that have the same denominators, piece of cake. We can already just go ahead and add them. They have to be the same on the bottom to add, so we can add these up right now because we both have 8 on the bottom, and we're going to add the numerators 3 and 1, 4. But we never add the denominators at all. Do not add those at all, please. Just keep it an 8. Alright, so 4/8 is our answer, but when dealing with fractions, we have to simplify. Alright, we have to simplify this down. We have to find a number that we can divide both 4 and 8 by, and since these numbers are both even, I know I can divide them both by 2. Alright, and when I divide these both by 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4, I went from 4/8 down to 2/4. Okay, and I can simplify this again. I can divide both of these numbers again by another number. I can divide them both again by 2 because they're both even, and we have to keep simplifying until we can't divide them anymore. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2. I almost made that into a 4, but it's a 2. Okay, so my answer comes out to 1/2. Alright, and I can't divide 1/2 down anymore. It started as 4/8, we divide it down to get to 1/2. That's as simple as we can make that answer. Okay, we can't divide it down anymore. 1/2 is what we got. Let's take a look at this next fraction. We have 7/9 plus 14/9. We're going to add these together. They're both the same on the bottom, so that is good news. It's less steps. Do not add the denominators. Leave that a 9. Let's add 7 and 14 together. And when we do that, that's going to give us 21. And look what happened. This became an improper fraction. We talked about those a few videos ago. Improper fraction. It's larger number on the top than on the bottom. We need to convert this into a mixed number. Okay, we have to simplify this down because we don't want it like that. Not when you're adding and subtracting fractions. We need to simplify it down. So to do that, we're going to take our numerator 21 and divide it by the denominator 9, just like when we were turning fractions into decimals. Okay, 9 goes into 21 2 times. 9 times 2 is 18. Take that away. I have a remainder of 3. Now do not put any zeros here. We're not trying to turn this into a decimal. Okay, we want the remainder. Alright, we're not going to add zeros. We're going to leave the remainder, and we're going to rewrite this as a mixed number. Our whole number is going to be 2 because 9 went into 21 twice. And my fraction part is my remainder over top of this outside number 9. Okay, so 21 over 9 changed to 2 and 3/9. But we're not quite done yet. We can simplify 3 over 9 because we can divide both of these numbers by 3. Alright, you always got to check to see if you can divide them by something. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So my simplified answer, I'll bring my 2 down here. Okay, and 2 and 1/3 after I divided 3/9 by 3. Alright, that's the problem with fractions. That's why people don't like working with them, is because there's so many little steps to get down to an answer simplified all the way. Alright, let's take a look at some denominators when they are not the same. We will review how to do those. Okay, here is our first fraction, 3/7 plus 2/8. Now, we can't add these fractions the way they are because these denominators are not the same. Okay, we have to go through some steps to get those denominators to be the same. We're going to change these fractions, and then we'll be able to add them. Alright, this is why people don't like adding and subtracting fractions, is because of this step here. Usually what happens, you probably remember this, is that you have to find a common denominator, and most people start by, they're going to count by 7s, 7, 14, 21, and then they're going to count by 8s, 8, 16, 24. They're going to keep counting by these numbers until they find a multiple in common, a number that is in common with counting by 7s and counting by 8s. Alright, you can do that. If you like to do that step, go ahead. I don't really like to do this step. It takes too long. Alright, I have a shorter way that I like to do it. Let me show you that, and then you can see if you like that better. I take the two fractions, 3/7 and 2/8, and all I do to make this shorter, this fraction I multiply by this denominator, and I'm going to write my new fraction. This fraction I multiply by that denominator. Okay, I think this speeds it up just a little bit. This is what I like to do. Now just multiply. 3 times 8, 24. 7 times 8, 56. 2 times 7, 14. 8 times 7, 56. Okay, now look what happened. I ended up with a common denominator. Both these fractions now have 56 after we change them. Alright, so now I can go about adding these together. So now I have 24 over 56 plus 14 over 56. Add them together. Do not add the denominator, just leave that at 56. Now we're going to add 24 and 14 together. That's going to give me 38. Alright, now just like we did in the last problems, we have to simplify this. We need to see if there's a number that can divide into both of these, which both of these numbers are even, so I know that I can divide it by both these numbers by 2. So I'm going to do that down here where I have some more space. 38 over 56, divide them both by 2. When I do that, that's going to give me 19 over 28. Okay, I didn't really go through the steps on how to divide 38 by 2 because we should be able to do that by now. So I just showed you what the answer would be, 19 over 28, okay? And then I got to check again to see if I can divide both of these numbers again to simplify it even more, and I know that I can't. There is not a number that goes into both 19 and 28. I mean, I could try 2, I could try dividing them by 3, I could try dividing them both by 4, I could try all these different numbers, but there's nothing that goes into both of those. So our answer just comes out to 19 over 28 is our final answer for adding those fractions. Alright, let's take a look at the next problem. Here we have 3/4 plus 5/6. Okay, again, you could find a common denominator by counting by 4s and counting by 6s, or you could do what I like to do. I just line them up vertically, and I multiply this fraction by this denominator. Make my new fraction, and I multiply this fraction by this denominator. Okay, it saves me time searching for a common denominator. 3 times 6, 18. 4 times 6, 24. 5 times 4, 20. 6 times 4, 24. Okay, I have my brand new fractions. They both have 24 on the bottom. Those are the ones I'm going to add. 18 over 24 plus 20 over 24, and that's going to give me 38 over 24. Okay, now look what happened. This became an improper fraction. Okay, so when this happens, we have to change that around to a mixed number. But before I can do that, to make it a little bit easy on myself, I know I can simplify this fraction down just the way it is. I know that I could divide both of these numbers by 2. Okay, you try and find a number you can divide them both by. And when I do that, I get 19 over 12. Okay, I simplified that down. Now I know that there is not another number that will divide into both of these. Okay, so 19 over 12 is as simplified as I get. Now I'm just going to change it into a mixed number. Take 19, since it's bigger on top than the 12, take 19, divide that by 12. Okay, 12 will go into 19 one time, minus 12. I'm left with a remainder of 7. Okay, keep your remainder, you need that. So now let's make our mixed number. 12 went into 19 one whole time, so 1 is going to be my whole number. My remainder is going to be my numerator, and this 12 out here is going to be my denominator. Okay, and there's my answer, 1 7/12. Alright, let's do a review if we have mixed numbers. Okay, the steps are pretty much going to be the same. We're just going to add on one extra step because we got these whole numbers to deal with. Okay, so here I have 5 1/3 plus 7 and 8 over 18. I cannot add them the way they are right now because these two numbers are not the same. Okay, they are not in common. So what I can do is I can find a common denominator for 3 and 18. Alright, you could do this step where you're going to line them up vertically like I do. Okay, and you could multiply 1/3 by this number, 18, and then you could multiply this fraction by this denominator, 3. We could do that, but there's actually a shorter way. Okay, if you start thinking about these numbers, thinking about multiples, 3 and 18, okay, I know that I can multiply 3 by 6 and get it to turn into 18. Okay, so this is going to save me this step because I know I can change 3 into 18 by multiplying it by 6. So that's what I'm going to do to save some time. Alright, it takes looking at these denominators and seeing if one is a multiple of the other. So 1/3 if I just multiply 1/3 by 6, okay, I change 1/3 to 6 over 18, and that is the same as this denominator. So then I can add them together. So I'm just going to put this fraction into, replace it with 1/3. So I have 5 and 6 over 18, plus this one's going to stay exactly the same because I already have an 18. Right? Add them together. Add your whole numbers together. 5 and 7, 12. And now let's add our numerators. 6 and 8, 14. Let's add these ones. Remember, we do not add denominators. We're just going to leave that in 18. Okay, take a look at this. We do have some simplifying we have to do. See how it's a pain, all these steps you got to do with fractions? We need to simplify this. Find a number that goes into both 14 and 18. I know 2 will go into both of them. Okay, I'm going to run out of room over here, so I'm going to put it right over here. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 18 divided by 2 is 9. I'm going to bring my 12 down with it. Okay, the 12 just doesn't do anything. It just hangs out. Now, I have that simplified all the way down because there is not a number that will go into both 7 and 9. Alright? Okay, let's take a look at this one over here. Same thing, we have some mixed fractions. There are no common denominators right now. They are not the same. We got 5 and 6. So I'm going to stack these up to find a common denominator for myself. Okay, there's my two fractions. Multiply this fraction by 6. This fraction by this denominator, 5. Get your new fractions. 6 times 4, 24. 5 times 6, 30. 5 and 5, 25. 6 times 5, 30. Okay, there is my new fraction right there. Alright, this is what I'm going to use to add together. Okay, so I have 6 and 24 over 30 plus 7 and 25 over 30. Alright, now I have common denominators. That makes me happy because I can add them together finally. So add your whole numbers together. I'm going to write it down here so I have some more space. 13, 6 and 7, 13. Now add your numerators. 24 and 25 is going to give me 49. And then just keep 30 on the bottom. Alright, don't add that. Alright, now look what happened. We have a mixed number, but our fraction is improper. The fraction part is improper because it's bigger on the top than it is on the bottom. So we need to simplify this. We have yet another step to do with this one. We have to change this around. So don't worry about your 13 right now. Just leave it there. 49 over 30. Let's divide 49 by 30 so we can simplify this fraction down so it's not improper. 49 by 30. I know 30 will go into 49 only one time. Take away 30. I'm left with 19. Alright, now I'm ready to rewrite this as this fraction part as a mixed number. 30 went into 49 one whole time. And then we have a remainder of 19. And then we have this 30 on the bottom. Okay, so look what happened. This fraction here, this improper fraction, changed to 1 and 19 over 30. Okay, and we still have this 13 over here. So we're just going to add the 1 and the 13 together. So we're going to have 14 and 19 over 30. Alright, wow, look at how many steps we had to go through just to get that answer simplified all the way down. Alright, I have two try this problems for you guys. Try those fractions out, see how you do, and then hit play, and then we'll take a look at what answers you came up with. Alright, let's check out what you got. This first fraction here, these denominators are not the same, so we're going to have to change them. So I like to do it like this: 5/7 stack up 4/5. Multiply this fraction by this denominator. Multiply this fraction by this denominator. 25/35, and this is going to be 28/35. Alright, now I can add them together. Oh, I put 30 there, let me erase that. Okay, it should have been 25/35. There we go. 25/35 plus 28/35. Alright, now we can add up our numerators together. And when I do that, 25 and 38, that's going to get me 53/35. Okay, now I have an improper fraction, and I can't simplify this. There is not a number that will go into both 53 and 35, so I'm going to go straight to dividing to turn this into a mixed number. I'm going to take 53 divided by 35. Okay, there's my 53, divide that by 35. That's going to go in there one time. 35 times 1 is 35. I'm going to subtract those. Okay, do a little borrowing here, make that a 4, make that a 13. 13 minus 5 is going to give me 8. 4 minus 3 is going to give me 1. Okay, so I got a remainder of 18. Now I'm going to make that into a mixed number. 35 went in there one whole time. There's my whole number. My remainder goes on top. 35 just stays on the bottom. Okay, so that would be my final answer simplified all the way down. Alright, let's see what you guys came up with for working with mixed numbers, adding those together. Hopefully you found the little shortcut here and you noticed this. 3, I can multiply 3 by 4 to make 12. So I only have to change this fraction. I don't have to change both of them like I did over here. Alright, hopefully you spotted that. So 1/3, I'm going to change that fraction by multiplying it by 4 so that I can get a 12 on the bottom. Alright, so that's going to become 4/12. So when I rewrite this, I have 5 and 4/12 instead of 5 and 1/3, plus 7 and 11/12. And now I can add that together. I'm going to add my whole numbers to give me 12. My numerators, 4 and 11 is 15, and then I have 12 on the bottom. Okay, and it looks like I need to go some steps further because this is an improper fraction. Alright, and also I can simplify this because I know that I can divide both 15 and 12 by 3. Okay, so I'm going to simplify this down. I'll write it down here. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. I'll bring down my 12. So now I have 12 and 5/4 after I simplified. And then I'm going to fix this improper fraction. I'm going to make it into a mixed number, so leave the 12 alone right now. Let's focus on the 5/4. Let's take 5 divided by 4. Okay, I'll just show that over here really quick. Goes in there one time, take away 4, you get a remainder of 1. So making that into a mixed number is 1 with my remainder 1/4. Okay, that's how we change the improper fraction. Now let's just take this whole number 12, add it to the whole number 1, so we end up with 13 and 1/4. Okay, I hope this review lesson helped you guys on adding and subtracting fractions. We're going to practice this when you guys get to class next time, so that we can get these steps down some more. If you totally got lost on this, please come and see me about it, so we can get you caught up and better at adding and subtracting fractions before we move too far into chapter 3. Alright, we'll see you guys next time in class.